Up next, we celebrate one of the true female icons in rock and roll history. She started out as the singer for a formidable 80s duo that took new wave to the masses, and then in the 90s she created a solo career that has become a blueprint for many artists since. We also count down her top 5 songs on our POR Fiver, and we tell the stories behind them next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you are all about music, you're going to want to subscribe below to this channel so you don't miss out on our daily episodes. Also, if you want to help us curate this content, more interviews, more videos, go to Patreon. That support means a lot. Now, when someone or something arouses your senses and you try to explain why it's captivated you, it's much easier to describe that sensation in something that you saw than it is to describe what you heard or you felt. The voice of Annie Lennox is a precious instrument that moves me to the core. It's so unique, it's hard for me to express why it has such an effect on me. Annie actually describes her singing voice as a hybrid between Stevie Wonder and Joni Mitchell, which I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that self-description makes a lot of sense since Annie grew up listening to the legendary sounds of Motown and Stevie, and it was Joni Mitchell that actually inspired Annie to become a songwriter in the first place. She admired her poetic lyricism, the way that Joni could describe life and its complexities in psychological terms. Annie's creative process starts with her being true to herself and being intrigued by a lyric or music that ignites her imagination while releasing her inhibitions. She transmits a message that comes from deep within her soul, something that Joni Mitchell has done so well. Once Annie transmits that message deep from her soul, it romances us as listeners, attracting us in a way that's become part of our soul. And that's why she's so beloved. Perhaps the reason Annie Lennox is such a riveting singer is because she uses her voice as a vehicle of bold expression. It's the sincerity and self-confidence of how she expresses her feelings that separates her from being just another pretty voice. If you're intimidated or uncomfortable with what Annie Lennox is expressing, that's not her problem. Annie dropped out of the Royal Academy of Music in London to join guitarist Dave Stewart and Pete Coombs to organize a band originally called The Catch in 1976. Shortly after its formation, the name of the band was changed to The Tourists, with Annie as lead singer. The Tourists actually had 2 top hits in the UK. The biggest was a cover of the Dusty Springfield hit, I Only Want to Be With You. That rose to number 4 in England and number 6 in Australia. Now, they broke up in late 79, with Annie and Dave moving on to establish Eurythmics in 81. And that's when the world really discovered the mesmerizing voice of Annie Lennox. The sound of Annie Lennox and Eurythmics was a cornerstone to that exciting and fertile musical movement in the early 80s that was, of course, popularized as New Wave. Annie and Dave Stewart were lovers for a long time, but their romantic partnership eventually dissolved, and that led to the inevitable breakup of Eurythmics. But their professional success as a duo was just massive. Eurythmics sold over 75 million records worldwide, and they achieved 10 top 40 hits in America and 24 in the UK. Now, following the dissolution of Eurythmics, Dave Stewart, of course, became a prolific producer, collaborating with everybody from Tom Petty to Candy Dulfer. Annie began her robust career as a solo artist in '92. She debuted with the album Diva, and that actually sold over 6 million copies and was actually a bigger seller than any of the 8 Eurythmics studio albums. Annie released her second solo record, Medusa, in '95. That album was another huge accomplishment, and it sold over 5 million units. From 1992 to 2015, Annie has released 6 solo albums. Because of her humble nature, Annie's accomplishments don't often get widespread media attention. It's important to recognize that among her many accolades, Annie has won 8 Brit Awards, more than any other female artist ever. She's also won 4 Grammy Awards, and in 2004, she won an Oscar for Best Original Song, Into the West, featured in the movie Lord of the Rings. I had a really tough time narrowing down her body of work. I mean, here it is. This is my Annie Lennox Fiver, including recorded performances with Eurythmics and her solo material. But it was so tough, I've got to go first with 2 honorable mentions. First of all, Annie Lennox released Medusa in '95, like I said, which was a full album of classic cover songs like Train in Vain by The Clash, Take Me to the River by Al Green, Something So Right by Paul Simon, The Downtown Lights by the Blue Nile, which is great, and the somewhat obscure No More I Love Yous by a British band The Lover Speaks. She took the original, and in my opinion, improved on it greatly with an elegance and haunting vocal that has so much depth that it really stays with you for the long haul.
Just to make me cry, no more I love you.
I also want to recognize Here Comes the Rain Again, another authentic, melancholy, and eerie song with its mesmerizing chorus, where Annie's singing the first of her haunting plea, Talk to Me, and then that breathtaking string part that accentuates the second part of that plea, Like Lovers Do.
Baby, talk to me like lovers do.
The string arrangements by Michael Kamen were performed by members of the British Philharmonic Orchestra. However, due to the limited space in the studio of the church, the players had to improvise by recording their parts in other parts of the studio. The song was then mixed by blending the orchestral tracks on top of the original synthesized backing track. Number 5, Missionary Man. The lyrics of this rousing number came from a poem that Annie wrote about her brief marriage and experience with an ex-husband who was part of the Hare Krishna cult. Dave Stewart turned Annie's cautionary poem about religious hypocrisy into a scorching rocker that he believed the twosome desperately needed to evolve from being typecast as solely a new wave synth outfit into a band that could rock arenas. Annie's vocal on Missionary Man revealed a different side of her depth as a singer, really. I mean, there's a scathing fervency to her tone that makes you step back and give your full attention to the urgency of her warning. Don't mess with a missionary man.
Don't mess with a missionary man. Don't mess with a missionary man.
Missionary Man proved to be the rock track that Dave had hoped to craft for Eurythmics. It rose all the way to number 1 on the mainstream rock chart. It also hit number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, the song features amazing harmonica playing from Jimmy Zavala and earth-shaking supporting vocals from Jonice Jameson. Eurythmics won the Grammy for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal for Missionary Man. Number 4, from Annie's debut solo release Diva, the beautiful, torchy ballad Cold. Annie's seductive vocal on Cold just oozes with desire and yearning. This song is one of my favorite Annie Lennox compositions as it's filled with tragically romantic lyrics, such as this passage. Dying is easy. It's a living that scares me to death. I could be so content hearing the sound of your breath.
Dying is easy, it's living that scares me today.
Cold is another great example of how Annie's vocals create a palpable emotion for the listener. It's both infectious and liberating. Number 3, Walking on Broken Glass. Annie's single as a solo artist and another outstanding vocal performance from Diva. This is Annie Lennox delivering a song about a bitter breakup, which has been done many times, but Walking on Broken Glass is an anguishing breakup song with a feel-good melody. It's a genius contrasting arrangement that few artists can pull off. Walking on Broken Glass is a metaphor that Annie equated to a breakup where the man she loved broke her into pieces of glass, and walking over that glass to move on with her life is both tricky and painful. Walking on Broken Glass was the perfect single, really, to launch Annie's solo career. The song broke the top 10 throughout Europe, it was a number 1 hit in Canada, and a number 3 smash on the Billboard Mainstream Top 40 chart. The tune also kept Lennox in the modern rock world she and Dave Stewart developed as a core for consistent success in America. It rose to number 7 on the Alternative Songs chart.
Walking on broken glass.
Now, the keyboards in Walking on Broken Glass were adroitly played by Marius DeVries, who has become a coveted film score composer. His contribution to this song, along with Steve Lipson's navigation as producer, cannot be overstated. Number 2, Would I Lie to You, the lead single from the 1985 Eurythmics album, Be Yourself Tonight. Would I Lie to You was a change-up from the typical Eurythmics sound. I mean, Dave Stewart came up with a killer R&B guitar riff that he wouldn't have bothered with if he didn't have supreme confidence in Annie's ability to deliver a vocal with a grandeur as dynamic as the huge riff. Annie was truly up to the task to make Would I Lie to You a foot-stomping rocker. Annie roars through Would I Lie to You with angry soulfulness, befitting of the song's subject matter of cold-busting a cheating lover. Would I Lie to You was a challenging vocal, with answering harmonies that were very unorthodox, but Annie definitely worked them out in her vocal to flow with the song's melody. Would I Lie to You was the prelude to Missionary Man and Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves. They really spotlighted Annie's towering soulfulness as a vocalist.
Would I lie to you? Would I lie to you, honey?
Would I Lie to You was a number 5 smash on the Billboard Hot 100. It was also a number 2 track on the mainstream rock, number 1 in Australia, and number 17 in the UK. And number 1, recorded in 82 and released in 83, one of the most compelling hits of the New Wave era. Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. It's the song that introduced me to the brilliance of Annie Lennox. Dave Stewart commented that most of the songs that he and Annie developed have a dark side and a light side. You can really hear that divergence in Sweet Dreams, where Annie hypnotically fuses the dark side and the light side, especially in the song's dark pre-chorus she composed. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
Want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
And then she hits us with the lightness, a lyrical sequence that Dave came up with. Hold your head up, moving on, keep your head up. Gosh, I just love it.
Moving on, keep your head up. Come on, hold your head up. Moving on, keep your
Annie and Dave co-wrote Sweet Dreams Are Made of This about the perpetual search for fulfillment. And the couple developed the words ironically after having a lover's quarrel that Annie thought would lead to the end of their relationship. She was in a depressed mood when she started to work on the song, and you can hear that brooding in Annie's vocal, which was so compelling and challenging for its time. With Sweet Dreams, Annie Lennox established her bewitching style that left the audience begging for more, like a season-ending cliffhanger of your favorite dramatic series on Netflix. Fortunately, there was much more of Annie Lennox to come after the success of Sweet Dreams.
Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree?
I remember when I first saw this music video, I was hooked. I was 7 years old, and within seconds, I just became truly fascinated by this mysterious songstress dressed in a suit and tie. This was about the furthest thing from pop females that my mom listened to when I was growing up, when I was a kid, like Marie Osmond and Olivia Newton-John, Barbra Streisand. I was truly transfixed and fit to be tied. The song shot to the top of the charts, number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 in Canada and France, number 2 in the UK, and number 2 in the Netherlands, Ireland, New Zealand, Belgium, and Spain. It hit everywhere. Over a career spanning more than 40 years, Annie has remained artistically vibrant. She's a gender-bending risk-taker, never afraid to push boundaries with her music and her image. Annie Lennox is truly one of the most distinctive and fascinating artists of the rock era. I mean, she's kept us guessing all these years, and it's kept us wondering, who's that girl? Now, to hear all the songs we've discussed here, click on our curated playlist below. Also, celebrate Annie Lennox in style. Get her albums on vinyl, also Eurythmics. You can get her merch. You'll find that in our description if you click on the Amazon links. Leave us a comment on Annie Lennox and her incredible career. What is your fiver? And lastly, if you like this video, subscribe to this channel and click the notification so that you always know when our stuff is coming out. We have some amazing stuff coming. Help us keep the music alive. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.